Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Unfiltered and Unstoppable podcast. I am your host, Jess Before Dark. And did I miss a post last week? Of course I did. Okay, listen to me. I'm going to be so brutally honest with you guys because I always have been, right? Like I haven't sugarcoated anything. I had a fucking shit couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie to you. So, first of all, what happened was I started getting a stomach ache literally every time I ate for 10 days straight. And if you know me and you've been following this podcast, I've been eating clean every fucking day so far this year. Like fully, like whole foods only, things that grow from the earth, like super freaking clean. And I was pissed. I was like, why the fuck am I having a stomach ache? And I mean like stomach ache so bad that like I had to like just die on the couch for a couple hours until it went away. Then I'd get hungry and be like, okay, I'm going to try to eat again. And then boom, like not working. So I was like, it went on for 10 days. And it gets so discouraging when you're having like health issues and you don't know like what is wrong with me. Like I don't know. And so eventually I was like, I have to figure it out. Like, so I started weeding stuff out and I'm like, okay, it seems to be happening more when I'm eating like fruit and avocado. And so we're like, okay, those are like higher fiber type foods. Like, is there an issue with my fiber intake? And we realized that we've been working really hard on redoing our bathroom. It's not done yet, but we're getting really fucking close. I'll talk about that in just a second. But we realized that we've been forgetting to order our raw milk. So we drink raw milk. It comes from a local farmer. Like we've been to the farm before. Like it's great. Like I absolutely love it. And I have actually never drank milk in the past. I was told I was allergic to milk at like age 7 and I had drank nut milk, coconut milk, oat milk since then until I tried raw milk. And don't get me wrong, I'm never going to sit down and drink a glass of milk. Like I still don't love the taste of milk, but I put it in my coffee, stuff like that. So it worked out. And we realized that I haven't had raw milk in a couple weeks and I had switched over to whole milk instead, like pasteurized whole milk. And so we're like Googling it and it says that there's actually so many good probiotics and good enzymes in raw milk that help clear your gut that when you get off of it, your body now has to figure out like how to get that. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. So ironically, guys, everybody always tells me, just be careful with the raw milk. You're going to end up in the hospital. Ironically, I almost ended up in the hospital because I stopped drinking raw milk. So that was horrendous. That was so scary. But now that I have my raw milk again, everything is good. We are all good in the hood. It just fucking sucked. And so between not feeling good, my house in shambles because we're redoing the bathroom. Like it almost felt like I had no control over my life. And I don't know. I kind of spiraled the last couple of weeks. And so like last week I went to go make the podcast. What happened last week? I don't know. Something happened on Sunday and I think I was like literally laying on the couch. Like I don't know. Besides the point. You will be proud of me though, even with the fact that I was having such a horrible time. I did keep doing 75 hard. So I did not stop. It's just that my walks were very slow and that was the extent of my working out. But I'm back. I'm feeling much better. So just giving you guys a little heads up of like, sometimes we get knocked the fuck down, but we're back. Okay. Second, you guys will be really proud of me. Again, I've said earlier on this podcast before that I've always wanted to take like a class. I went to my first Pilates class this week. So yay, little hand clap. So, once I started feeling better, I went and I did a reformer class and I did that on Thursday and I ended up signing up for like, 8 sessions a month. So I like paid that fee. I'm hoping to be able to bump it up to unlimited sessions. I just didn't know if I would like I want to give it a shot. Right. So I went, I had a really, really good time. So that was not at all like I've talked about it before that I'm like always so nervous that I'm just going to get bullied. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why I was bullied a lot as a child, but I digress. I was always nervous to go start and it was so much fun. I had a great time. So that also happened. Let's see what else happened. I rearranged my whole entire house today. So I actually moved, I have a library. So I moved the furniture that was in my library into my office, which you've seen me like record all my videos in. So now this is like a sitting area that I actually can record like freely in here now, like without having to fight like with my family or something like that of like, oh, my husband's here, my daughter's here. No, now I have like closed doors. I can actually record and be unbothered with that. And then we moved my office, so where my husband was working, upstairs. And so like upstairs, we now have like a gym office area, and he's like loving it too. Cause he's like, oh, I feel so cool. I have my office and my gym. So we did that this weekend. So needless to say, it's been a hectic couple of weeks, but I am back. I'm so glad to be back. I actually was thinking about it because I'm not gonna lie. When I first started the podcast, it was gonna be a daily podcast, and like I was having a good time. It's just a lot to keep up with doing a daily podcast. And I also kind of felt like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Like, who wants to hear that? And these last 2 weeks, not having any like time to talk or like really like think through like more motivational stuff, I think has been the hardest on me mentally, ironically. Because even though doing the daily podcast was a lot for me, I at least every single day was having like a moment to like really think through like how to have a better day. Does that make sense? And so I was like, oh, damn, maybe the daily podcast was like helping me more than it even helped you guys. Like, even hopefully it helped you guys, but like I think it was helping me a lot more too. So I need to kind of get back to on like really clearing my own mindset. Like talking to you guys about clearing your mindset really had such a positive toll on me too, because I was actually taking the time to really like put that out there. So I'm gonna have to do a little reflecting on that. But I did have a few things to talk about today because I was really excited. So last time I talked, my nonfiction book was around trading because I've been like learning how to trade with my husband. But I really liked the trading book because it was not talking about technicals on how to trade. It was talking about your mindset while trading. And I'm like, hell yeah, you know me, mindset queen. So I actually have a few highlights in there that I thought really applied for you guys as well. So let me pull them up. Hold on. I found it. So the book's called The Best Loser Wins. Again, it's really about trading, but he said some stuff that like really resonated with me. So he was saying that like he struggles a lot when he's like losing or not able to like figure out how to trade well. And he's just kind of going through like a bad stint in life, which is kind of what I was just going through. And he says he does this ask for help method. So if you've been following along, I've been talking a lot about the subconscious mind and how powerful it is. And he kind of says like, I think this is like what this is about, but I have done no studies on the subconscious mind or how the mind works. So I'm not even going to pretend like I know, but this is what this feels like. And so what he does is he actually takes a moment, like he'll sit down with a piece of paper and a pen, and he will ask his own mind for help. He will say, hey, listen, I am noticing that I'm struggling. Like if the trade is losing, for instance, the last thing you want to do is like continue to let it lose because you think it's going to come back, right? Like that's actually like a really bad thing to do. You want to cut the trade and then enter into a new one in the reverse position, right? And so he says, why am I struggling to do that? And so he will allow himself to ask himself why he's struggling to do that, and then give himself honest, raw answers, right? Like, so it kind of made me think like sometimes I do this to myself a lot, and I don't know how many people actually do that, but I psychoanalyze myself all the time. And I talk to my husband, and this is not something he does. He's like, I don't even have really an internal monologue that I have, but I'm like, I will sit down and reflect on like what happened and then ask myself, why did I do that? Like, why do I handle this a certain way? Why did this trigger me for this? Or why do I feel like I can't do that because of XYZ? Why am I saying these things to myself? What's happening? And so it kind of aligns with what he's saying in this book, that I've never even thought to like sit down and write that out. And he said that sometimes I have the most brutal fucking answers that come out. Like I just start jotting it down, right? Like writing it out. What comes out of me is like the most brutal, honest truth. And I have that moment with myself to say, okay, like I'm incapable of doing XYZ right now because of the fact I'm fearful of this. And then he goes on to say that a lot of people will say, okay, I am having a negative reaction. I need to shut that down. Shut that shit down. Shut it down. And he says, actually, when you do that, that negative reaction is going to fight harder to stay true. Like it wants to be true, like so deeply rooted in you. And so he says, you actually have to give it the attention it deserves. Let it be heard, that negative emotion, whatever, and then let it go. Right? So rather than saying like, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to not acknowledge this negative way or negative pattern or negative whatever, allow it to be true. Sit with it for a moment. Like write it down, say it out loud, sit with it for a moment, and then let it go. Be like, okay, I acknowledge I feel that way. I acknowledge I reacted that way. I acknowledge why I'm acting that way. We're going to move forward. Like, there are better ways to handle this. I get this is why we're scared. I'm sorry that we're scared or that we're worried or that we're tired or whatever the case may be. And now we're going to let it go. We're going to move forward. And so I don't know. I haven't tried that exercise yet, but I felt like reading it, I was like, this is such like a cool example of saying, and because I think a lot of people do this in their lives, they'll just almost like either do something and say, oh my gosh, why did I react like that? That's so weird, blah, blah, blah. And never like deep dive into the reasons why and peel back the layers to actually identify the root cause that they can fix. Or they'll go the other way and they'll say like, well, that's just who I am. That's just how I talk. That's just how it is. And it's like, that's also detrimental too. So it's like, don't feed into it like, if you have something negative that you're going through, don't feed into it like, what the heck, hit yourself on the head. Like, what the heck's wrong with you? What the heck's wrong with you? No, because it'll just keep fighting to be like, we haven't handled it. But also don't dismiss it as it just is what it is. I'm not going to handle it. Right. So I thought that was kind of like a cool standpoint, figuring that I've been going through kind of a tough time to kind of like look at it and say, actually, I did do this morning. I said that out loud. I was like, I realized I was doing a pattern of, okay, I'll just be frank with you. I've been doing a pattern where I'm noticing myself actually tailor to other people's needs more than mine. And I've talked about this a lot, like don't do that. But obviously it's always like easier said than done. And sometimes you almost need to take a step back and you realize you're falling into old patterns again. And so I realized lately I have been doing that. And so I did a little bit of reflection of like, why do I do that? And how do I like better handle that? And we actually realized that a lot of it is like, I'll cater, for instance, to Ryan's needs for the day because Ryan's sitting right here. So like, rather than saying like, okay, I used to have the house to myself and I got my work done and I would clean and I would go run errands, I'll be like, oh, Ryan's right here. Like maybe Ryan wants to run errands or maybe he wants to run them later or maybe he wants to do this. And so rather than like, just like handling things how I used to, I was falling into this weird thing where I was just like considering what he wanted, which is very nice, don't get me wrong, but it's also sometimes like hindering myself from doing the things I need to do. And so I had to reflect on like, what the hell is happening? And so that's another reason why I was like, okay, I think we need a separation because I don't feel like I have what I need to get the things I need done. And so therefore I feel like I'm catering to you. And so we had a whole talk about it. And then it was like, okay, we acknowledge this is true. I see that it's true. It's fair that it's true. But we're going to move on. We're going to figure out how to fix it. And so we ended up separating our areas. And it wasn't even just like a fact of like me and Ryan were together. It was the fact that we were trying to mix two careers together. So like my creative side was being mixed with like fundamental analysis of trading. And they cannot live in the same space. I tried. They cannot. Like I need this room to be flowing. I can't sit at a desk. Like when I'm creating, it has to be freeing. And then when I'm analysis, like when I'm working on that has to be like structured, right? And so we were kind of having like this whole debate back and forth of like, okay, cool, like what can we do to make this work? And so that's what we did. We acknowledged it, we said it out loud, we both like figured out what was going on, and then we acted. And so I think that's what he's kind of saying is he gives his fears, all these things deep down, he gives it a voice. He writes it on paper. He says it out loud. And then he works to then let it go rather than trying to like just push it down. So I love that. I thought that was such a like kind of a positive way because we've talked a lot of just mindset in general of being like, think the good things in. But like if you're stuck like trying to fight something negative and you're trying to push that thought down rather than just releasing it out and getting it out, then you're never going to be able to actually move on to the positive thinking. So does that make sense? I mean, I feel like I said that relatively well. I haven't prepared this, but like, let's let the negative out. Let's acknowledge the negative, whatever's bothering us. We're going to then let it go. So then that frees the mind for the positive thinking that we've talked about before. And so we could focus on ourselves. So hell yeah, guys, we are back, baby. But anyway, I hope everybody that celebrated Mother's Day yesterday had a great Mother's Day. I hope everyone's pumped for the week ahead, and I will see everyone next time. Bye.